Hey guys, this is Arab Wrestlers You Should Know, sponsored by Premier Pro Wrestling, and I'm Randy Ritchie bringing it to you. Um, I can't find anywhere where his name is pronounced. So if I pronounce this man's name, it's not a lack of respect. It's just that sometimes with dialect, things are so different between, Egyptian and American. Anyway, today we're honoring a guy who is called Egyptian's version of Rocky Balboa, so I figure it's got to be cool the more I read up on him. The man's name is Mamdouh Farag, and he died in 2014, and I'm going to get to what he died of later. But here's what the Cairo scene, which is an Egyptian rag, had to say about him when he passed on this is dated August 17th. We remember his greatest achievements and larger-than-life personality that made him turn into the legend that we all knew and loved. Like they said, a larger-than-life personality, Mamdough sadly passed away Saturday morning after succumbing to illness, according to Al Haram, a Arabic news website. Mamdough was essentially the closest Egypt has come to producing their own Rocky story. However, instead of boxing, Farag made a name for himself in the professional wrestling world. Farag claims that he won the European Championship in 1976 in Hanover under a foreign nationality. From there, he went on to compete in the Catch Wrestling Association, beating notable opponents like Ric Flair, Tony Atlas, Greg Valentine, and Vader. They also mentioned that he defeated Tito Santana. I, for the life of me, could not find anything on that wrestling project, and it sounds cool. If you guys can, please share it in the comments or hit me up. In the 70s and 80s, he helped increase the popularity of wrestling in Egypt. Those days would be considered the golden years of wrestling in Egypt, and by the 90s, wrestlers in Egypt began to fade. He entered retirement in 1997, unable and unwilling to fade into obscurity. He continued promoting his sport, becoming a presenter of an Egyptian wrestling show on Modern Sports TV, eventually winning Sports Program Presenter of the Year in 2007. Eventually, this would lead to him jumping from one show to the next, always bringing to life his over-the-top personality. Well, apparently, he was one hell of a worker, with that popularity. One can argue that Mamdouh Farag was one of the reasons WWE is as big as it is today in the Arab world, because of his contributions both in and out of the ring. That's pretty bold statement to make about one individual, folks. He died of a stroke, sadly, on his birthday at the age of 64, and his contributions will be missed, but hopefully his story will continue to inspire others to follow in his footsteps. Hopefully his efforts will bring a championship back to the Arab world, where millions continue to be die-hard fans of the sport, despite the common misgivings that wrestling is fake and not a sport. One thing no one can dispute is that Farag was entertainer above all else. He put Egypt on a stage, or rather in a ring, and for that he will be dearly missed. That sounds like one hell of a guy, folks, and I'm sharing a picture there, on the front of this from his heyday, because I figured if I was an old guy, I'd rather be remembered looking like that I did in my prime. Now, this is the last thing I'm going to share, and not that I want to wrap this up, but use kids and your attention spans today, like I said before, and I'll say it again, like that article stated, people like this inspire me. Now, this is from an Egyptian kid that, is very eloquent in English. Comments that I found from him, and it's short, from Reddit. He wrestled briefly in the 80s on the European circuit in CWA and other obscure promotions. When he came back to Egypt, he carried himself like the most popular wrestler on earth. He claimed that he had wins over Ric Flair, Greg Gagne, and Tito Santana, among others. Not Greg Gagne, I'm sorry, Greg Valentine. Oh, okay. It's not just me because no records exist of the matches, but it's quite possible, folks. Ric Flair also put over a local wrestler or a wrestler in the Dominican Republic, and you can't find much on that either. The only way I read about that or heard about that was from Roddy Piper. Anyway, back to my mans. He then held a few matches in big arenas in Egypt where he was hailed as a national hero against European wrestlers such as Dave Taylor. Casey James just loves Dave Taylor. If you don't know, Dave Taylor is basically the counterpart of William Regal. From there, he started doing TV. He did commentary for WWF, then WWE shows. In doing so, he originated a ton of funny catchphrases that have stood the test of time in Egyptian pop culture. But also he did shows like the one you can see. Well, it's in a video above, but it's not above. In these shows, he would interview some unknown European wrestlers, build them as unstoppable top world champions, then every interview would turn into a fight, which, of course, Captain Mamdough would win. His shows got insane viewership. Everybody used to watch wrestling because of him, especially from 2003 to 2007. Unfortunately, the network which produced his shows, which was a TV titan, suddenly went bankrupt and was sold to another big network, but Mamdough's shows weren't picked up, sadly. Well, apparently the climate changed. He then would rarely appear on TV interviews where he never acknowledged wrestling's scripted nature. He would also shoot on guys like Hogan and Vince McMahon. He said he and Hogan were buddies in Germany, that they used to eat shawarma together, but that Hogan became selfish and sold him out after becoming popular. Get in line, Mamdough. I'm sorry, I thought that was funny. He also said that Vince specifically requested from the Egyptian government that they do not let Mamdough into the arena when WWE ran a tour in Cairo in 2012. He was a unique individual, but he loved wrestling through and through, and he always kept his kayfabe game strong. And, as we said, he sadly passed away. Again, folks, this is Arab Wrestlers You Should Know. And once again, I'm enjoying the shit out of these and enjoying what I'm learning about my industry, the activity knowledge, and I hope you guys are too. Please note there are no YouTube commercials on here, so please like and subscribe. And if you want to support Premier Pro Wrestling, the links are in the description. Talk to you tomorrow.